just trying to be in peace with myself, because I believe that from being in peace with yourself and not being your worst enemy, but being your best friend, you just can overcome everything. Because at the end of the day, you're the only person that you're with 24/7. So that relationship with yourself has to be good to overcome everything that comes your way.
All right, we've got a special guest here from FIU women's basketball, and I would just love for you to introduce yourself and where you're from.
Hi, so my name is Claudia Marina. I'm a sophomore in the FIU women's basketball team, and I'm from Madrid, Spain.
Which is so cool. So I know that you're a sophomore, right? So this is only your second year here. So what was your recruiting journey like?
Well, it started pretty at the end of the year. So I was, I was, I had, I was finishing high school in Madrid, and I had a lot going on because back home, when you finish high school, you have to do an exam to access the university, and I was already taking that exam, so I started getting offers pretty late, and then I got some offers, and then the FIU offer came, and I didn't really think about it. Then I think that we have the first call with Coach Burks. I don't know if it was on a Monday, and then on Tuesday I was already committed.
So wait, you have to take an exam to even be able to come to college here in the United States?
Oh no, it was for I was already thinking about studying university back home, so it was an exam to access university in Spain.
Oh, okay, understood. And then coach found you, and then there was just some phone calls, and then it happened. So were you planning on playing basketball here?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Obviously, I mean, I was with I'm still with an agency, so coming to play basketball here was always my dream since pretty much since I started playing basketball. Because how American basketball is always like all the resources that we have here. I started watching it in videos and on Instagram and all that. So since I started playing basketball, it was always my dream to come here.
When did you start playing?
I started playing when I was 12, 13.
Oh,
So
wow. So not too young, but like middle school. Did you
yeah,
play any sports before that?
yeah, I used to play soccer because back home, soccer is a really popular sport. So my brother plays soccer, and almost all my friends play soccer.
Oh yeah, soccer in Madrid. I know people that go from the United States to Madrid just to play soccer, so
Yeah.
I can imagine. So how did you get involved with basketball?
So I was playing soccer in my middle school team, and honestly, I don't really remember what happened. I just know that I stopped playing, and then there was one year where I was trying a lot of sports, and then I tried basketball, and I really fell in love with it. And the teacher that on the it was like a basketball class. So that teacher talked to my mom. She said like, "Hey, this girl has potential to play basketball. You should sign her to a club," and that's what I did. I started my basketball journey.
So I've really not heard anything but good things about Madrid, but you probably have a different perspective than I do. But what's home like?
That's a pretty general question, but I mean, the city itself is just it's amazing. I would say it's pretty different. European cities are pretty different than the ones here in the US. So they have there's a lot of history in every street that you go into, which is just amazing to learn. I keep learning things about my city every day. Then you see people on the bars. Everybody, it doesn't matter if it's a Tuesday or a Saturday. Everybody just comes out of work and then they have dinner together. You see the streets are always full of people.
What has been the biggest adjustment having to go from Madrid to Miami?
Um, well, I would say obviously starting to live by myself, not living with my family anymore. So that was probably the biggest thing for me. I didn't even realize how many things I was gonna have to take care of by myself. So just coming from, from a family and like have there was just such a lot of things that I was not even taking into account that I was gonna have to, like, I mean, food, like you have to do like, well, we obviously helped a lot back home, but it's not just do the laundry every time I had to do it. I have to do it now every time by myself. Or sometimes back home, sometimes my mom would do it, and then some other person would do it, or and yeah, that's just the biggest adjustments as with 18-year-old just going out of her home and then just have to live by herself.
Mm-hmm. And at least here in Miami, where there is a lot of Spanish there. So has that kind of helped you a lot, kind of being in more of a Spanish speaking city?
Yeah, obviously, the language barrier at first it was such a struggle for me. So to have, and even though in our team we were, I think last year we were four Spanish girls, and this year we are four too. So so to have somebody on the team that speaks the same language as me really helped me a lot to, talk about through everything I was going through and get some advice. I was also having advice from my English speaking teammates, but at first I really needed that person that is from my culture and to because they do understand more what I'm going through than the other one. So that really helped me a lot.
Do you think that staying here and continuing to play basketball even past college is something that you're interested in, or do you think that you would want to go back to Spain?
I would, I definitely want to finish my 4 years here, and if it's an FIU, it will be even better. But because I really want to finish my major here.
Hmm. Because I've heard like people like are amazed over Spain. So when I saw that you were from there, I was like, wow, like there's people and they speak pretty proper Spanish there. Like there's different dialects in Spain as well. So what's something that you miss the most about home?
Honestly, the food is a big thing. I just miss it so much.
What's the one dish that you miss the most?
So there's a typical plate from the east coast of Spain. It's called paella. So it's like yellow rice with you can basically put anything on it like chicken, vegetables, and it's like you can also put some seafood on it. Like it's just amazing.
And so what has your experience so far been like at FIU?
Well, I feel like I've really grown so much, well, in all aspects of myself, either as a basketball player in off the court. I've learned, I don't know, basketball wise, I would say my game has gotten a lot better. But what I'm most focused on is getting mentally better. So like my mental journey has been really good here, um and then outside of the court, it's just been a lot. Like I said, like I had to get used to live by myself, and that's been a really great improvement.
Is women's basketball big in Spain or not so much?
I would say it's getting bigger, but definitely not as much as here. Like definitely not. The the pays are not that good, and most of there's a lot of there's a lot of Spanish players that we play here in college, so that's like you can see that most of us trying to get out, even though we obviously love we would love to be back home, but the resources and the facilities and everything is just has nothing to do with here in the US.
And what was that kind of like for you being able to experience the things you just said, like the facilities and the resources, like kind of having a different experience from at home? Like, what was that like for you when you were experiencing it all for the first time?
Well, it was just I just felt like I was living in a movie because I got here, then we got free clothes, we have a locker room that is only for us. We have you have a gym available 24 hours to shoot whenever you want. If you need any help with any type of like paperwork or whatever, we there's a lot of staff that you can rely on. It's just like us back home. You had to pay. I remember you had to pay for your own clothes. You had to pay for even the game shirts. Like you have to pay for all that. You didn't. Maybe your club, if your club had a facility, that was like amazing because it's usually the city's facility. They just let the club use them. So most of the clubs back home, especially in Madrid, don't even have a own court. And if you had it, you had to share it with everybody on the club. So you didn't really have a locker room. The court was not available ever to just go and shoot by yourself. So it was really a big change for me.
Wow. And what were the emotions that you were feeling when you were here, and what were the calls like back home when you were telling them about it?
Well, yeah, like it just really felt like a movie. It's like I'm just living the American dream. Um, and also coming to Miami at first was like it took me a long time to realize that like I'm living in Miami. Like all my friends were like, "Where?" Just it's just shocking. Like I don't know. It was just crazy.
And back in Spain, what is that perspective of the American dream and like how Americans like live their life? Like, what is that? Like, how do they think of it?
Um, they really think about it like the High School Musical movie. So when I was showing them like all the facilities in FIU or the gym and everything, they're just like, "Oh, you're living in High School Musical." I'm like, "Well, it's kind of."
That's that's awesome. I actually love that movie. I'm not even gonna lie. And my name's Gabriella, so that's ironic. I'm adding to your movie experience. That's great. Um, so knowing that you've had that experience, kind of just not being able to share the court with people and kind of like now having a new experience, how do you feel like it's prepped you or given you a different type of edge when you're on the court and playing?
Um, well, coming from somewhere that doesn't have as many resources as here, it first of all you are just grateful, like you are like you wanna give everything you can because you know that once you get out of here, you're not gonna have the same resources ever in anywhere else unless you go to the WNBA or you stay here in the US, but you know that anywhere else is not gonna be like this. So first of all, you're just grateful for it, and then it's just um it just gives you a more like you said, it gives you a more competitive edge because you know you come from somewhere that is not it's not as good as this. I've noticed, for example, maybe some of the girls that come from bigger schools and they just a simple it's just a simple example, but for example we have a code in the locker room door, so like maybe in their other schools they have like a face recognition to open the locker room, and they're like, oh, like we had this, and they're like so disappointed because we have a code. I'm like, bro, I didn't even have a locker room, you know. So that's just makes you, yeah, grateful and so competitive.
I love that example that you just gave because it kind of ties into the next question I was going to ask you of like, do you almost feel like you have this different perspective and gratitude to play than maybe some of your like American teammates that are just kind of used to this because they don't really know any different, but you know different. You've seen different. Like what is that kind of like? You know, it's like you have a different perspective. Like this is like a movie to you, you know?
So yeah, definitely you can see in our team, with being such an international team, is really curious to see how everybody's perspective is different, because I have a different perspective than the American teams. Then we have some other, like we basically have girls from completely different sides of the world. We have girls from Australia, Senegal, France, Mexico, Bahamas. So like you can see how, where they come from, how their mentality and their perspective change. So we all have different perspectives. It's just, and that's really, that's, I think that's something that really shapes our team, and it's really cool to experience.
And what type of teammate would you kind of describe yourself as?
Well, I believe I'm pretty, I do really care about my teammates. I do really care about the team itself. That's also a difference that I've noticed coming here, because back home I would say we just so familiar. Like our team was basically a family. Then we just would get out of practice and then go get dinner, eat together, hang out with each other. And I feel like the Spanish girls in the team, we do really have like that team mentality. Un, unlike some others, like there's, you can see it on Instagram. Like there's some players or that they just, I don't know, they just care about their like highlights, or they're having like great stats. It's just a much more individualized mentality. So for coming from that environment, I would say I really care about my teammates. I'm really I love to have conversations with them. I really love to help them if you're going through something. I'm always open to, you know, let them talk to me and try to solve, because also as a, I'm studying neuroscience, so I'm so interested in all that psychology aspect of things and all that. I'm trying to get better at it too. So yeah, that's how I would describe myself, I guess.
That's so awesome. And I actually had the opportunity to go to Argentina a few months ago, and I kind of like have learned a lot about the like Latina kind of culture, like or Spanish culture. And I've heard it so repetitively, like just having friends that are also have family that's Spanish and they say the same thing. Like it's really much all about like family and being close knit and just like loving on one another and like like kisses on the cheek and just being very like,
Yeah.
like communities. So I love how you shared that kind of perspective and like how you show up as a teammate that way, but you also see the difference of people that might not be that way, and it kind of just really does show like the cultural difference, because you're like that because of where you grew up, because that's how everybody was. Like you're just used to that. So it's who you are. So I love that perspective. And I love interviewing international students because of these different perspectives of just like coming to America and just seeing like a whole different quality and type of life and thinking. So, what's one stereotype that people in Spain have on Americans?
Um, well, this one is kind of funny, I'll say, but I mean, they do believe that Americans are kind of dumb. Uh, cause, there's a lot of, videos on social media that are posted, for example, when they go to an American street somewhere and they ask, like, do you know what this country is? And, like, none of them know most of the geography of the world. And I'll say, I mean, coming in here, I understood that it's not really, I mean, it's not really that Americans are dumb. It's just like the education system. We are blessed to have a really good in the education in Europe in general, I would say. So like we're like, oh, these people are dumb, but like it's not their fault. Like they don't have the same education as you had. So that's not, you're just lucky to have that education. It's not that you are smarter than them. Maybe if they had that same education, they will be the same smart as you. So
I mean, yeah, no, I've definitely heard that before. What kind of is like the education difference? Do you know at all?
um we have I would say we have like much more intense classes, like the for example the last 2 years of high school. So right now in college, my first 2 years of college, I'm learning things that we were taught our last 2 years of high school. So like I'm already ahead of that. So to just to let you know the difference of I would say the first 2 years of college is like the last 2 years of high school in Spain. So like
Wow.
that's the difference.
I kind of believe it. I do believe it. I don't kind of, I do believe it. Oh wow. It's the American system. I wish there was something different about it too. I'll be completely honest. Like I after traveling a little bit and like seeing differences, I've kind of learned more about America after
Yeah.
seeing different and also I talked to many different athletes, but yeah, I've definitely learned more. So but we'll go into a little bit more of your personal story. So, has there ever been a moment of adversity that you've had to overcome that you feel like really has shaped you into who you are?
Here in FIU.
Yeah? No, anything. I mean, back home, your personal life, whatever you feel.
Mm, I wouldn't say there's been a like an exact moment that just changed me or something, but I would say that my basketball journey mentally it's always been something I kind of struggle with. So just be overcome. I'm still working on it because you always have to work on your mental aspect of the game, but just dealing with that just frustration, expectations, any it's just regular struggles of an athlete.
And do you feel like you kind of like talk to yourself in like a mean way? Is that kind of like what you're implementing? Or, and then like, do you maybe have like really low lows and you're kind of just trying to like, how do you overcome that?
Well, some every time is something different, but yeah, what you said of the talking mean to yourself is I can really I'm familiar with it. We as an athlete, as athlete, we tend to become our worst enemies. It's because especially people that have been around sports since a young age, because you just grow up in an environment where your value as a person comes from your results, your performance, and you at some point you have to learn that your value as a person does not come from only your sport. So I would say that that's something that people kind of learn after they are done with their sports, or when they're not playing anymore. But I feel like that's something that we have to learn while we're playing, because if not, you're you're your mood completely changes, whether if you practice good or not, whether if you play good or not, and you can't really let that happen.
Hmm. So, who would you kind of say you are outside of basketball? Now that you've kind of been learning this slowly but surely, how would you kind of put that into your own world?
um I would say I'm a really curious kid. I want to learn from everything that's around me. I'm a I as we talked before, I do really care about the people that's around me. I want to help everybody as I can. But yeah, that's kind of it.
Is there anything that you do outside of basketball to sometimes take your mind outside of the game?
Yeah, I would say I read a lot. I started reading, especially since I got here. So that's something that's really helped me. Or just enjoying enjoying the little things, as like, well, I'm feeling overwhelmed, or let me just go get a coffee and read a little bit under the sun, or it's just tiny things like that. It just is really helping a lot.
What's your favorite genre of book to read?
Um, well, that's a difficult question, but um, I would say psychological books are really good. I'm really interested in it. So,
Yeah, you said that you're also studying neuroscience. Why? What intrigues you about it? What makes you want to like know more about it?
well, I would say neuroscience is a really new discipline. So, when I was in back home, not a lot of universities have that major. So when I came here, I saw it because I was really interested in psychology, but I never knew that there was a neuroscience option. And then when I came here, I was seeing the majors at FIU. I saw it and I started to look at it, and it really interested me. Also, my grandma, before she died, she had Alzheimer's disease. So that's something I would really love to work on in the future.
So do you think that that experience is what kind of shaped you into kind of wanting to understand why the human brain is capable of getting to that?
I'll say it's one of the things. Yeah, I wouldn't say it's only because of that, but I'll say so. Yeah,
And you said that you want to maybe work with that one day?
yeah, it's one. I mean, there's a lot of options that you can like, a lot of areas that you can apply neuroscience to. So I don't really know yet why I would like to do, but that's something I would really love to work on.
Well, I love learning things, so I would love to hear one of the coolest things that you've learned so far while studying neuroscience.
Oh, well, I'm still a little bit like early on my major, so I but one of the things I read that really shocked me is how language shapes your thoughts and your behavior. So the like, you know that sometimes we say like, if you don't believe you can do it, you're not gonna do it. Like that's kind of like, it's right scientifically, because you just, if you, let's say you wake up in the morning and you're like, oh, like, I don't want to do this, I don't want to go to practice, I don't, this is gonna be so bad, da, da, da. Your mind just, it just has a negative disposition. So like, once you start the practice, you're just gonna remember what you just told yourself of like, oh, this is gonna be bad, so it's probably gonna be bad. So yeah, that was really shocking for me, that to know that, because you know that when sometimes you see these Instagram sentences and phrases are like, if you can't believe it, like,
Yeah, yeah,
you're
yeah.
like,
I know what you're
okay,
talking about.
but
Yeah.
actually knowing that it was really true really shocked me, because your if your language shapes your thoughts, and your thoughts shapes your behavior. So like really knowing that how that works, it really changes everything.
Wow. So I'm sure when you read that, you probably started like changing the way that you think and talk to
Yes.
yourself.
Yeah.
I want one more. Is there something else like that? This is cool. I want to hear more. I think it's awesome. Is there one more thing that you read or saw or learned that changed something for you?
Well, I would say that finding finding a motivation is like it's a game changer. You can apply it to basically everything in your life. The human being moves by motives. So if you don't have a um like if you don't have a motive to do things, you're probably not gonna, so for example, you don't have a motive for playing basketball. You just playing basketball to play basketball, especially is such a high level as a D1. You have to have a motive because it's a lot of hours, it's a lot of training, it's a lot of, I live here 10 months of the 12th of the year. So you really have to have a motive to do the things that you do.
What would you say is your motive?
Um, well, right now, uh, well, making my family proud of me is always gonna be a motive. But right now, I would say my motive is my peace, being in peace with myself.
So do you feel like in a way, like how do you apply that in a way? Like what's an example?
Um, just like and what I talked about before about the being to myself and all that. I'm just trying to change a lot of things in me, trying to be more objective with myself, because we tend to make everything, or like something bad happens and you think it's the end of the world, and just trying to just be in peace with myself, because I believe that if you from a pe from being in peace with yourself and not being your worst enemy, but being your best friend, you just can overcome everything. Because at the end of the day, you're the only person that you're with 24/7. So that relationship with yourself has to be good to overcome everything that comes your way.
That was the deepest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. Honestly, at least the deepest thing I've heard in a while. The whole you're with yourself. I mean, obviously people say that, you die alone, not with somebody else. But like actually putting in the perspective of like you are with yourself 24/7. So if you don't have a good relationship with yourself, like how are you going to be at peace? Holy smokes. You know what? I honestly had to hear that. You just, you just, you taught me something that might just change my brain chemistry for the rest of my life. So
Hope so.
that was pretty cool, honestly. So where do you think that for you individually, like that voice has kind of like been created from? Like, did you kind of have like anybody speak to you kind of harshly growing up that you feel like you can't really decipher the difference of voices, or what does that look like for you?
Hmm. I wouldn't say that I had, like, growing up. I wouldn't say I had like somebody like being is specifically mean to me, but um. So for you to explain, I would say it's like if you had two voices on your head. So you have like the bad boys and you have the good boys. So when things start to get harder, or you have to overcome something difficult, it's like your bad boys start saying like, oh, like you're not gonna be able to do this, like you can't do this, you've never done this before, and it just gives you a lot of like negative emotions, like anxiety, sadness, and whatever. And then this good voice like truly believes in you, but it's just so easy to let that negative voice to just overcome everything. And right now, I'm just trying to work on like, trying to listen to my good voice that believes in me, knows what I'm capable of. And yeah, that's kind of it. Because when you get to a point where you just listening to this negative voice, honestly, there's nobody else outside of you that can hurt you more than what you're hurting yourself. So that's I would say that's a scariest place to be. So we're just trying to we have to try to listen to our positive voice more.
That's so funny. I know we're talking about like neuroscience and like the brain and everything, but I I go to church and literally the sermon on Sunday was like to the T of what you just said. Like it was talking about like the two different voices. Obviously, it was like more in spiritual talk than neurological talk, but it's just like so crazy that I'm hearing that for like the second time in like 48 hours. So I was like, wow, that was literally exactly what they were talking about on Sunday. But wow. Um, so is there anything else that I kind of missed about your journey, home life, family, culture, or just you personally that I've kind of missed?
No, well, I don't think so.
Okay. I think the best way to tie this podcast up is I think that you should leave a message to your friends and family back in Spain, but I think you should do it in Spanish. But then you have to tell me after what you said because I'm not fluent in Spanish. I know a little bit of Spanish, but not a lot. So I think you should tie this up with uh, a message to your family and friends back at home.
Um, okay. So, okay, I'm gonna say it in Spanish. Que os echo mucho de menos y os quiero mucho y que ya en nada vuelvo a casa. So what I just said is like, that I just love them, miss them so much, and that I'll be back home in a little bit.
Let's go. I love it so much.